Buongiorno, sono Giovanni Iozia. Come sapete questa mattina parleremo di convergenza digitale, che è molto più semplice della convergenza fisica qui a Roma, quindi probabilmente c'è ancora della gente che ci raggiungerà nei prossimi minuti. Questa mattina avremo un ospite particolarmente importante che ci introdurrà al tema e sono sicuro che ci darà molti spunti che poi svilupperemo con i nostri ospiti. Abbiamo qui con noi Laurent DeLaporte, che è il Vice President di Microsoft Advertising per l'Europa e il Nord Africa, quindi la società che si occupa per la multinazionale di Redmond della raccolta pubblicitaria e quindi della comunicazione su tutta l'attività internazionale. Quindi ascoltiamolo, so che ci darà tantissimi spunti, ne parleremo dopo. Invito Laurent DeLaporte a salire sul palco. Grazie.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure and a real honor to open that forum of communication in Roma. I have to say, listening to yesterday's event, I'm a little intimidated to talk about convergence in a country which is so much around televisions and see television as a core of their cultures. But I do think there is a huge opportunity in terms of digital marketing and in terms of leveraging the trends we see from the consumers. And therefore, I think that word of convergence is now becoming to reality and offer to us a huge opportunity, and that's kind of the aim of my speech of today. In that, it's always good to start with the consumer and, look at some of you in the room, but also, consumer all around the world, in Europe and in Italy. It's very obvious, and it's, I think, just a recognized fact now that, people are consuming media in a very different way than they were in the past. They're using a huge number of new devices, whether it's smartphone, whether it's tablet with the iPad, whether it's, mobile PC in a different convenience, but also not forget the big screens. Big screen is obviously the TV, which is usually the biggest screen in the home, but also the entertainment platform, gaming platform, and more we will see, interactive screens in the streets, at retail shops, which will allow us to really build, completely new scenarios and engage with the end user. Because as brands, as advertisers, our main goal is really to attract and engage with consumer, and I think that's huge phenomena. So recognizing that there is more and more device connecting to the internet, and there is more and more people, consuming media in a very different fashion than in the past, is absolutely key. In fact, in Europe, the number of people who have been using multi-screens has doubled in the last 12 months, and is expected to double again in the next 12 months. And that is, using, devices, as I said, the iPad, which I can see already a couple of them in the room, even using iPad as a digital photo camera, but also, phones, smartphones, and as I said, in an entertainment platform. What is also, quite amazing to me on this is the time people spend in front of screens. It is estimated that the average home in the US has about, 35 connected screens, whether it's a GPS, whether it's a, photo album connected to Wi-Fi, whether it's a PCs, and multiple devices I already mentioned. So in Europe, therefore, taking Italy as part of it, people spend about 46 hours in front of screens connected to the internet, which, is a huge opportunity for brands and for us to recognize in the way we interact and we should engage with the consumer. Not only that, people are also doing multitask and spending more and more time, actually facing two screens. And one of the most common scenarios is people watching TV and using their smartphone or using their mobile PC on their shoulders and making comments about it. And that's opened a huge opportunity for, marketers all around the world, because obviously what do people do most of the time when they have double screens? They make comments. Make comments about the TV show, they make comments about, the news, make comments, and interact with their friends. Again, that's a huge opportunity for brands, to be part of that discussions and part of that interactions. And one of the key pieces I want, to really reinforce is, more than being a real, fundamental trend in itself, the multi-screens, facilitate sharing and actually encourage sharings of opinions, whether it's opinions, sharing with your friends, or is it, opinion about a brand, about, a news, and commenting on forum, etc. And that level of interactions is a fundamental change in, our society, but also in the way we should interact with the brands. Oh, sorry, with the consumer, the way brands should interact with consumer. We also have to design the content in a different fashions. And that's, one of the key points I would like to emphasize later on. One of the additional factors is, despite what a number of people say, it's not about competing TV against PC or PC against smartphone or smartphone against tablet or whatever. It is really looking at the complementarity of those screens and the complementarity of the experience people can have using those screens. I think it seems pretty obvious to everyone that, you don't carry your TV with you, but you may carry your iPad or you may carry your smartphone. And if you really look at the different set of devices, I think it is important to really look at, what they can be as a vehicle for information and what they can be as a vehicle for information, productivity, or entertainment. The PC, whether you call that a PC or a Mac, is actually a screen with a keyboard. Is still the most productive tools and still one of the widely used tools, as it allows, easy informations, easy sharing, easy ability to, interact, but it has, some limitations. The phone and the smartphone on itself is a much more personalized, much more your own device, much more linked to what you do, where you are, and how local you are. And, today, tomorrow, we can travel with our phone, take pictures, or upload those pictures directly on Facebook or on Twitter, share that information. We also can access database, I've done a very quick American tour of Roma yesterday night with my friends, probably visit Roma in 45 minutes, so, look at the experience. But I've seen the Coliseum and I've seen the Vatican and I've taken photos so I can go back home and say, I've seen it. Not sure I really understand it yet, but certainly a good opportunity to come back and really enjoy it. But the example I wanted to take is, today I can take a photo of the Vatican, upload it on my Facebook page, and all my friends, can have comments and share about it. And that's, very different than the experience I would have on the PCs. And that's obviously very different the experience I have on a TV. The gaming platform, whether the console is or, and whether the size of the screen is, it's also a very engaging and very rewarding time everybody has for himself. But it's also a huge opportunity for brand to engage, because there is no more engaging platform than a gaming console. Everybody knows that if you play games, you better be focused, you better be concentrated, you better know what you're doing, otherwise you fail. So if you drive a car, you go out of the road. If you do a shooting, you get shot, and the game is stopped. So it's a very important and it's a very engaging experience. But it's also an experience where, more and more gamers are expecting to, really look at the real life. And in the real life, we have advertising, we have brands, and it is quite important that, when we redesign the games, that is, the brands are there and are present, and it's a huge opportunity for the brands to be in. And TV is also a very important media, and I will certainly not be the guy who say we should exclude TV of the portfolio. We should look at it as a media where people can lay back a little bit, relax a little bit, probably not as engaging, doesn't really allow interactivity, but allow to relax and be engaged. There is a clear need and a clear expectation from users watching TVs that they be able to have a more personalized experience. Like replay TV is getting more and more popular, and I think 40% of Europeans are looking at, probably watching to the same show they were watching in the past. Maybe be a little bit more selective, but can decide on what time, where I do watch that TV show, rather than being on the 8 o'clock evening kind of forced deadline. So all those screens are effectively complementary, and as a marketing, and a brand leader, we will have to look at what type of information, what type of experience we want to convey, and we want to build with consumer using those different screens. And that's where the magic of building media campaigns and building an engagement campaigns is really opening a huge amount of opportunity for each of us in a room. But we need to recognize the different level of the screens. We also need to recognize that it's not only about the screen and the size of the screens. Obviously, I can have a fantastic ad on a big TV, and on my smartphone, that video will not look exactly the same and will not be as much engaging. But it's really where I am, so the content also need to be kind of customized to, the moment of the day. Look at, the normal day life of people. They wake up early. They may, they have quick breakfast. Some people squeeze breakfast and rush into traffic jams. And, they may want to watch the news on, public transportations, and they may use their smartphone. Then they go to the office and they have the PC screen, and then they go back home, or they do shopping during the day, and they're back on their, smartphone. Again, here the experience may be different about the brand. I may have looked on the evening before about a new camera or a new device or a new book I want to buy, and I've been, attracted by the interaction I had with the brands on my PC. I could engage. I could look at the specifications of the, the product I'm interested in, and then on the next day I want to buy that product, and then I'm on a mobile experience, and then on the mobile it's not so much about the features about the product anymore, but it's much more like where can I buy the product? What would be the right price? Should I go to this shop or that shop? How can the brand help me do the next or the last mile of the sales? And then so that's kind of my midday experience, and then I'm back to the office and I'm back home, and then I want to relax and I want to enjoy. And TV may be a good experience, or consoles and entertainment can be a good experience. The brand will have to know, and I will have to learn about, using the different moment of the day to communicate different informations, and using the different screens to really make the information relevant. And I don't want to have the same informations through my TV, through my PC, through my gaming console, through my mobile phone, because that's not relevant to me. And by the way, the screen size probably doesn't allow the same interesting experience, so it's looked pretty obvious. Multi-screen campaigns have proven to be quite effective, and I know, sometimes it's quite a pushback or quite a discussions around, is digital effective? I used to run the big TV campaigns, and they used to be effective, and they are effective. My point here is just to say that what people tell us is multi-screen campaigns are more effective than just one screen campaigns, and the reason for that is they're more engaging. I am able to get more relevant information at different time of my shopping process. I have of all my seeking of information, and therefore the brand experience is more important. The brand experience is more relevant, and that makes it a lot more important for me. So 70% of the European people and the multi-screen users say that multi-screen campaigns are more noticeable, are more relevant to them, and therefore they have a higher recall. And for the TV people, you know, when we just focus on just looking at TV plus video on, you know, internet, the recall of the campaign is actually up by 43%, while the cost of it is negligible. So for a negligible additional cost, you get, you know, a much more impactful campaigns if only you do just, you know, TV plus online video. That's a quite powerful data for, you know, convincing people to look at start looking at the multi-screen experience. Building a multi-screen experience is actually not that complex. And I look here at kind of a 3-step to do it, and you could choose to elect to be 1, 2, or 3. And obviously those 3 is always the more exciting and the more rewarding one. But as I said just before, you know, the easy piece is if you run a TV campaign, make sure, you know, the video you use, probably not exactly the same video, by the way, but a very similar video can be, you know, pushed on the internet media network, whether it's a portal like MSN or any of the portal available in your market, depending on your audience. It's pretty easy, pretty, you know, costless, sensitive impact, and again, the recall is quite high. Also quite easy, you know, if you build a Facebook page, you know, is look at how you drive traffic using, you know, gaming console, if you are targeting, you know, young male or families, or, you know, using a portal, if you're looking at ladies, or, you know, mobile, depending on the audience you are looking at. Again, pretty easy, pretty compelling stories, a little bit more engaging than just a basic, you know, display campaigns. Then when you're there and when you have done that, it's quite easy to go to the next step, which is really looking at how can you interact with the users using, you know, different screens, whether it's mobile or whether it's, you know, gaming consoles, to make sure you get the level of interactions, and also make sure you start thinking about, you know, when do you engage the users, when do you engage the consumers, and what type of content is, you know, relevant to him at different stage of the purchasing cycle, because that's the way you're going to position your brand and make yourself known to him, but also how you're going to facilitate the level of interactions. That's not necessarily a huge step, but that's really allow, you know, to really look at, you know, the end-to-end campaigns. And then if you want to be really strategic, then, you know, we certainly be happy to look at working with you. And I think if you want to be strategic, it's really looking at the different device and really looking at using technology as spurring up your creativity. And that's probably a step we start seeing, you know, as a real trend into, you know, creative agencies, media agencies, but also, you know, including a lot of the technologies. You know, first, you know, probably a lot of people realize that with the iPad. You know, when you run an iPad apps, is it a media or is it technology? You don't care at the end of the day. It's the solutions who help you, you know, as a consumer, achieve a certain relationship with the brands. So look at the press who has, you know, build up their own iPad apps. Look at, you know, a number of brands who have already built up, you know, an engagement story, whether it's around gaming, whether it's around, you know, just dialoguing and engaging with their consumer using those new media. And I think, you know, the technology accelerations we see in the last few months and few years, and we will see in the next future months, you know, will allow us, you know, to be very strategic and really change the way we engage with consumer. And the blur between technology and media will become, you know, more and more important. And I think that's where it will spear, you know, a new set of creativity and a new set of opportunity for brands to position themselves. The good thing and the fun thing about it is building an iPad or an iPhone or smartphone apps on Windows Phone is probably less than $30,000 to build on. So it's nothing in comparison to a big marketing campaigns, but the level of engagement you build with your consumer is absolutely amazing. Now let's look at 3 examples we have done recently. And the first one is actually quite complete, quite strategic in the sense that he's really looking at the total, the total opportunity to rebuild not only the image of a brand, but also the relationship of the brand with its consumer. We've been approached by Chevy and Ford about their new car, the Volt. It's a very innovative car. It's electric. It's an electric car, and the brands are, betting quite heavily on it to rebuild their image, but also to completely redesign the interface and the relationship between the potential buyers and the consumers and the brands. So they came to us and they asked us, how can we help them, really rebuild and go up to, in the store, and in the garage, really looking at, changing the relationships, basically building up, a complete set of new experience for people to understand what it means to be in a car, understand how the technology of the car is built, and therefore get passionate about the technology of the car and the innovation that is into it. The target for this, the target was, very well known. It's adults. It's, 18 to 54. It's a perfect target for both, gaming consoles, mobiles, and the full blown of it. But it's also used an interesting number of, technologies. So let's look and watch the video.